Hi, my name's Felbrigg, and I record audiobooks. I do this in my spare time and share some of them via my podcast. I've done over 70 books now and really enjoy the work. But I want to expand my income and share the results of my work with people who will appreciate it. And that's where Patreon comes in. Income from Patreon will enable me to continue working on audiobooks rather than spending time in the office. I'll also be able to upgrade my equipment and even replace my old sad laptop that's seen better days. By becoming my patron, you'll be supporting my audiobook work and get access to the audiobooks I create as I create them chapter by chapter. I usually have 3 to 5 books on the go at any one time, and the plan is to drop the chapters as MP3s into an online folder where you can download them. At the time of recording, for instance, I'm working on King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard, Mr. Standfast by John Buchan, The Ghost Pirates by William Hope Hodgson, Counterinsurgency by D.H. Petraeus. So you can see there's quite a variety. I do adventures, horror, ghost stories, histories, science fiction, and everything in between. As one book finishes, I pick up the next and get right to work on it, meaning you'll see on average 5 to 6 chapters a month, plus any other audio I put together during that time for any other purposes. I'll finish up here with some extracts from the books I've already completed. But my eyes, alighting on the form of my erstwhile guardian, threw all thoughts of flight to the 4 winds. He lay gasping upon the floor of the chamber, his great eyes fastened upon me in what seemed a pitiful appeal for protection. I could not withstand that look, nor could I, on second thought, have deserted my rescuer without giving as good an account of myself in his behalf as he had in mine. Without more ado, therefore, I turned to meet the charge of the infuriated bull-ape. I'd seen that milkman sometimes when I'd gone out for an early ride. He was a young man, about my own height, with an ill-nourished moustache, and he wore a white overall. On him I staked all my chances. I went into the darkened smoking-room where the rays of morning light were beginning to creep through the shutters. There I breakfasted off a whisky and soda and some biscuits from the cupboard. By this time it was getting on for 6 o'clock. I put a pipe in my pocket and filled my pouch from the tobacco jar on the table by the fireplace. Between gasps, Luther tried to stammer out his tale to Mrs. Corey. "Up there, in the road beyond the glen, Miss Corey, there's something bend there. It smells like thunder, and all the bushes and the little trees is pushed back from the rud, like a house been moved along it. And that ain't the worst, nother. They's prints in the road, Miss Corey, great round prints as big as barrel-heads, all sunk down deep like an elephant had run along." The sharp explosions of the recoilless weapons rang the ears of all the Marines. Momentarily deaf, they could not even hear the blasts from their own automatic weapons. But the 6 Marines were blazing away, holding down their rifles, the bipods enabling them to keep their bursts low. With every other round in the magazine a tracer, they placed their shot groups where they thought they saw or heard the enemy. Hundreds of bullets skimmed across the river and swept the opposite bank. He scooped up a blaster from beside a fallen Gurn and ran towards it. A Gurn officer was already in the airlock, his face pale and strained as he looked back and his hand on the closing switch. He shot him and ran up the ramp as the officer's body rolled down it. Unicorn hooves pounded behind him, and 20 of them swept past, their riders leaping from their backs up to the ramp. At length, encouraged by the silence, I looked out. Except in the corner, where a multitude of crows hopped and fought over the skeletons of the dead the Martians had consumed, there was not a living thing in the pit. I stared about me, scarcely believing my eyes. All the machinery had gone, save for the big mound of greyish-blue powder in one corner, certain bars of aluminium in another, the black birds and the skeletons of the killed. The place was merely an empty circular pit in the sand.